Hi, welcome to Myers ASMR. How are you? I hope you're well. I'm always so glad to see you. Thanks for being here. Hey, you will know what you need to know when you need to know it. Yeah, you will know what you need to know when you need to know it. Well, guess what I know? That these McDonald's apple pies are delish. Delish. Yes. Well, let's go. Now I may not get through four of them, but I got four just in case, because I just love them. I waited a long time. Don't you just love the crust? I feel like I'm only going to be able to get through two of them right now. So who's watching Designated Survivor? Don't you just love how Netflix recycles actors? Like, his little daughter is older when she plays in Young Sheldon. I was like, hey, that's Paige. And then that computer guy who's always in the basement on the computer. He was in Suits. consultant to the president, and he tries to tell everybody what to do. Anyways, he was in royal pains a few years ago. I think I can eat another one. That crust, I'll just put this one away. Save that one. This will be my last. I think that these are tiny. I love a good crust. This. That's enough. That is a lot of sugar. It's too much. Wow, that is just ridiculously sweet. This is peppermint tea that I put a piece of hibiscus in and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Well, you know what time it is. It's that fun time when I focus on getting better and better every day in every way with the help of this people skills book. So, we're up to chapter 3 called Listening is More Than Merely Hearing. Listening is more than merely hearing. Here's an anonymous quote. I often ponder over the nature of true human sincerity, true transparency. It is a rare and difficult thing, and how much it depends on the person who is listening to us. There are those who pull down the barriers and make the way smooth. There are those who force the doors and enter our territory like invaders. There are those who barricade us in, shut us in upon ourselves, dig ditches and throw up walls around us. There are those who set us out of tune and listen only to our false notes. There are those for whom we always remain strangers, speaking an unknown tongue, and when it's our turn to listen, which of these are we? The importance of listening. If you are at all typical, listening takes up more of your waking hours than any other activity. A study of persons of varied occupational background showed that 70% of their waking moments were spent in communication. And of that time, writing took 9%, reading absorbed 16%, talking accounted for 30%, and listening occupied 45%. Other surveys underscore the large amount of time that people in different walks of life spend in listening. It is important to listen effectively because of the sheer amount of it that you do each day. Furthermore, many of the most important facets of your life are greatly influenced by your skills or lack of skill in listening. The quality of your friendships, the cohesiveness of your family relationships, your effectiveness at work, these hinge in large measure on your ability to listen. Unfortunately, few people are good listeners. Even at the purely informational level, researchers claim that 75% of oral communication is ignored, misunderstood, or quickly forgotten. Rarer still is the ability to listen for the deepest meanings in what people say. How devastating, but how common to talk with someone about subjects of intense interest to oneself, only to experience the stifling realization that the other person was not really listening, and that his responses were simply automatic and mechanical. Perhaps it was after an experience like this that Jesus was quoted as saying, "Thou hearest in thy one ear, but the other thou hast closed." Dr. Ralph G. Nichols, who developed innovative classes on listening at the University of Minnesota, writes, "It can be stated with practically no qualification that people in general do not know how to listen. They have ears that hear very well, but seldom have they acquired the necessary skills which would allow those ears to be used effectively for what is called listening. For several years, we have been testing the ability of people to understand and remember what they hear. These extensive tests led to this general conclusion. Immediately after the average person has listened to someone talk, he remembers only half of what he has heard, no matter how carefully he thought he was listening. What happens as time passes? Our own testing shows that we tend to forget from 1/2 to 1/3 more within 8 hours. All too often, the speaker's words go in one ear and out the other. A major reason for the poor listening in our society is that most of us receive a very rigorous early training in non-listening. The therapist Franklin Ernst says that from the earliest years of life, a person's listening activity is the most heavily trained in all activities. The person's listening is more attended to than his bowel training, his bladder activity, or his genital activity. Ernst points out that the typical child in his most impressionable years receives a steady diet of anti-listening edicts. Parents say things like, "We don't listen to those things in our family. Don't pay any attention to him. Pretend you don't notice. Don't take it so seriously. He didn't mean what he said." Don't give them the satisfaction of knowing that you heard them and that it bothers you. The typical parent not only verbalizes these anti-listening comments, he demonstrates them daily in his own life. He is inattentive to person speaking to him may interrupt frequently and responds with numerous roadblocks. By word, indeed, we are taught to be non-listeners in our childhood. Our schooling also conspires against the development of effective listening skills. At 6 years, about 6 years of training is given to reading in most school systems. Additional opportunities are often available for remedial reading and speed reading. In the vast majority of schools, however, there are no effective training programs for developing listening skills. This makes little sense in a society where the graduated student will have to spend at least 3 times as much time listening as he spends reading. Rather than receiving training in effective listening, the student in a typical school receives further anti-listening training. Like his parents, most of his teachers will not be good listeners. They too will demonstrate inattentiveness, interruptions, and the use of many roadblocks throughout the school day. Furthermore, the typical classroom is structured for a larger ratio of listening time to talking time than the human being is capable of achieving. Some experts say that we can only listen effectively from 1/3 to 2/3 of the time. Whatever the specific ratio, each of us can recognize that when we listen for a long time without doing any talking or responding, our listening efficiency begins to drop drastically, and finally, our minds drift off to considering other topics than those about which the speaker is talking. Because the student cannot possibly listen effectively to all the talking to which school subjects him, he learns to turn off his mind when other people are speaking. The problem is compounded by the repetitions and boring nature of much teacher talk. Most of us have been trained to be poor listeners, yet ironically we spend more time listening than doing anything else, and the quality of our listening greatly affects both the personal and the vocational dimensions of our lives. Okay. So the next section, he talks about listening defined. And I'm going to save that for the next video. This is so exciting. I love psychology and self-improvement, because that's what it's all about. Getting better and better every day in every way, right? Hey, remember, you will know what you need to know when you need to know it. Yeah, you'll know what you need to know when you need to know it. And if you like what I'm doing here, like and subscribe, donate to the cause. Catch me in the next video, and may you find lasting happiness.